Tomorrow, the only show right now on Indian television where you, the MSME, get center stage to voice your opinions and thoughts. This is 18 Hours Special Daily Initiative to give MSMEs and entrepreneurs the opportunity to be front and center in every industry and area that matters to you. Today on the show on Direct Connect, a panel of experts answering all your queries, and later on the show featuring Propstack and Azuro on our Small Giant segment. Our experts in studio this week on Direct Connect are Prabhakar Dalal, former Executive Director, Export-Import Bank of India, and Vikram Gupta, founder and managing partner at Ivy Cap Venture Advisors. Vikram, Mr. Dalal, thank you both very much for being with us here tonight. Our first question is coming to us on Facebook, on the Leaders of Tomorrow on Facebook. That's the page where you can send in your questions and we will get our experts to answer your questions for you. Ari Patel says that for any business to run smoothly, training resources is very important. She would like to know how they do a training need analysis or a TNA so that they can train their employees as per their area of expertise. What would you recommend?
Yeah, training needs analysis involves first what are the training skills required in the organization, and what are the what are the skills available within the organization, and then identify the training gaps. Once you identify the training gaps, then you identify what kind of training should be given: internal, external, on the job, or classroom training. So you identify what kind of training is to be given, and periodically you appraise whether those needs have been met or not. That is the training needs analysis that every organization needs to do.
So the way I look at it is this is more of a top-down approach. So one needs to first look at their one-year plan going forward and see what the business is trying to achieve. That translated to what the KRAs of the individuals are, and based on that, you know, what those goals are in terms of the skill requirement against that. So I think basically it's a matching of the objectives and the skill set required to meet those objectives. So once you do that exercise, you will realize that in order to achieve certain goals, there are certain skills that the people have, there are certain skills that people don't have. So it's an exercise which basically translates from your overall business goals, translating into the KRAs of the employees, then mapping that to the specific skills that you have, and then identifying specific gaps, and therefore then identifying training needs. Either you do it in-house or you go with experts from outside to, you know, fill those gaps.
Okay. Arvi, thanks for sending us that question on Facebook. The next one is coming to us in email. Our email ID is leadersoftomorrowtimesgroup.com. Do send in your questions you want answered. Qasam Sheikh has written in to us to say that he's in the scrap business, and to run his business smoothly, he wants to overcome 3 things: scaling and staffing, staying competitive, and managing money, and wants to know what our experts suggest. That's pretty much the problem of every business, no matter what industry you're in. So what would you all recommend?
I would say that for every MSMEs, one should develop a USP. If you want to stay competitive, if you want to go ahead of your competition, you should have a USP, either in terms of price or quality or delivery, or, you know, in every respect, or in some respect there should be some USP which will distinguish you from your competitors. Then scaling, staffing, all those things will happen. As far as money management is concerned, then one should use money very efficiently. Minimum working capital requirement should be there. One should have optimal ratio of working capital and long-term investment. So all these things are applicable to all businesses, as you rightly said.
Okay.
I would say it's a tough business, this particular business. Not easy to find good resources. And therefore not easy to raise capital, not easy to manage you know, their competitive edge. So as Mr. Dalal said, it's very important to create that uniqueness and differentiation. And I would say that one way to do it is build your own technology platform, or maybe find some technology solution which can help you reach your customers faster, solve your execution issues faster. And I think one needs to look at technology as a potential way to manage operations and also to differentiate in the market. And of course, money management, etc., can also be done if you have the right technology platform.
Okay, So, Kasam, that's in response to your question coming to us on email. Our next one is coming to us on Twitter, and Afzal Nagaria has written in to us to say that e-commerce continues to grow, representing an increasing share of the total retail sales. As more and more larger online stores open, small retailers face new business threatening problems, and says that e-commerce has long been the small business person's friend, but the segment has relatively low entry barriers and requires fewer employees and resources. While this may not likely change soon, at least some current trends are posing significant problems for e-commerce operations, including competing on price and shipping, competing against manufacturers, selling in the social channel, customer loyalty, and creating content. So basically, if I'm to sum up that slightly long question, how does a small e-commerce player stand up against competition?
Well, India is a big market, so there is enough room for every segment of the business to survive and thrive. So I think use of technology, personal relationships, and new marketing skills and techniques to be employed. A number of ways in which a small retailer can also survive and prosper.
Okay.
I would say that overall the segment is growing very fast, and the challenge of this particular small retailer can be overcome by actually leveraging some existing platforms like Vinculum, which is a platform which onboards a large number of small retailers to help them sell online. So even if you don't have a technology platform of your own, you can actually straight away connect with the Vinculum platform and connect with therefore large retailing platforms like Flipkart or Snapdeal, and you may not have direct access otherwise. Plus, the challenges typically are logistics on the back end, your inventory management, product management, and things like those. So that is where if you have a ready-made solution, you can become competitive.
Afzal, so while the e-commerce space is definitely booming, is definitely very competitive, small players like yourself can also stay afloat. You can either tie up with larger companies or use technology to ensure that you also have a foot in the door. Next question is from Ajay Gupta, written in to us on Facebook to say he's a leading services sector company providing consultancy services across domains like a turnkey industrial project consultancy, management systems and best practices, international markets, technology and investment advisory, besides outsourcing, compliance, value creation, IT support and solutions. The small enterprise diversified consultancy segment business in India, he says, is in the growth phase. Usually though, most bankers fail to understand the nature of this business when granting working capital limits, and they ask for a monthly stock list which is non-existent in the business that he is in, and wants to know how he can overcome the same. Mr. Dalal.
See, working capital is basically current asset. Working capital gap is current assets minus current liabilities, and current assets do include receivables besides inventories and bank balances and all that. So every banker knows about it, but because he is into service industry, it may be an isolated case. So he has to basically convince the bankers that if they have decided to provide working capital finance, they have to take into account receivables also, because it is a current asset.
I would say that the good news is that the number of options for receivable financing is going up these days. Quite a few people are actually, or quite a few companies are actually offering that now. In fact, there's a platform which was recently launched, funded by SIDBI, which is actually helping some of these, especially early stage companies, get financing based on their receivables. So I would suggest they should look for such options and try to solve this problem.
Okay. That's in response to your question. Thanks for sending that in to us, and as always, a pleasure having both of you with us here today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Time for a break. When we come back on a Small Giant segment tonight, we'll feature Propstack and Azuro. Back with us here on the Leaders of Tomorrow, and tonight on our Small Giants segment, we're featuring two companies in the real estate space, Propstack and Azuro. From local trains to footpaths to popular clubs on weekends, finding space for those in metros is almost a utopian concept, and easing that task of finding commercial property across cities in India is Mumbai-based Propstack. Shumangi Sinha visited the company to understand really the entire world of real estate intelligence and how entrepreneurs like yourself can leverage technology in this space. Take a look.
Finding a viable commercial space in metro cities is almost equivalent to finding a shiny needle in a dense haystack. And zeroing in on the correct price, well, that is a battle that few have won. Stepping in with a unique technological solution to this problem is Mumbai-based company Propstack. Founded by Raja Sitaraman, Shubhankar Dongre and Sandeep Reddy in 2013, the commercial real estate intelligence company provides all stakeholders looking for property with valuable insights. Shubhankar, we have all heard of artificial intelligence and intelligence for defense as well. But intelligence for real estate is quite novel. So talk to us about commercial real estate intelligence and what it really is about.
See, real estate traditionally has been a very opaque market. Transparency has always been an issue, and then it leads to things like corporate governance, and then it trickles down to, jitteriness on part of investors, which will further trickle down on the consumer, who's, I don't know how confident they are when it comes to things like pricing and expectation of timely delivery of projects, so on and so forth. And it's largely brings about a whole lot of nervousness in the industry, which is devoid of authentic, reliable information. So this is one particular industry that was starving and continues to starve for authentic data, information that can really tend or lend intelligence to the final consumer.
Sure. So what was the eureka moment really when you and your co-founders realized that, we need to start something like Propstack? What was the eureka moment?
We actually did have a very, very clear eureka moment the day we realized that registered transactions is a public document that is available to any person, any consumer, any business, even you or me. We can walk up to an SRO or sub-registrar's office, make an application and actually source authentic transactions, the entire agreement or a certified copy. Now, the information available in an authentic document, it's unbeatable. And my co-founder and I, we've been in real estate for a very long time. And to be very, very honest, right now, even we were completely unaware that these documents were publicly available. And it's just suddenly such a huge game changer when you can avail of these documents. And now that we're doing it in hundreds on a daily basis, we're able to actually provide quality intelligence.
Now, just taking your point forward about how this data is publicly available. So playing the devil's advocate, if this is really the case, then how is it that Propstack is able to differentiate the data that will be offered to the consumers?
I think the differentiation is on twofold. Primarily, see, these documents, while public, they're still very difficult to access. It's a state subject, and the process to acquire these documents vary from state to state. Add to that, it's a little bit of a chicken and egg, where you need to be armed with a little bit of information before you make an application to source these documents. So we have this information in our database right now. And 4 years of operations we've learned the art of procuring these documents in hundreds on a daily basis. As an individual or a consumer, you may walk up to the SRO and with, say, a moderate amount of difficulty, you will procure one document. But the biggest differentiator for us is being able to do it in volumes.
Sure. Now, talking about the MSMEs and startup environment that has been growing rapidly within the country, how do you think that this sector of the industry can tap into the services of Propstack?
It's an interesting question, and actually this is the first year we've started seeing a bit of traction from startups as well, or the MSME industry as you speak. We've got, I don't know if you're aware of the co-working spaces, that have mushroomed across the nation right now, but we've had a lot, and these are all startups. I mean, at the end of the day, yes, there are a couple of multinational players in the market who are backed by several $100 million, but still, it's quite a startup domain, and we've had co-working spaces rely on our products and information to make the right decisions when it comes to occupying space or sourcing of tenants or clients.
Like we were just discussing, that real estate is a market which has been opaque for a really long time. Going forward, what do you think is the one game changer for this industry?
It's all data going forward. It's all information. Corporations world over are making multi-million-dollar decisions based purely on data. And you brought up things like AI, and most of these new technologies are based on a solid foundation of data and information. Once you build a solid foundation of data, then you can start really recognizing the fruits of having or invested in authentic quality information and data.
So what are the next few years really looking like for PropStack right now?
It's very difficult to predict. We don't make very long-term plans, and that is largely because as a company and as the space that we're operating, it's still nascent. So it's very difficult. There is no precedent to what we're doing. So it's very difficult to draw projection on what we'll be doing or where we'll be a few years down the line. But we take it, say 6 months to 9 months at a time, maybe probably 1 year from an operations perspective. And we're very excited to really look at the residential space now in exactly the way we've been doing commercial all along. And that's going to be a big consumer play for us.
Spread across most major metros and Tier 2 cities, PropStack has set the ball rolling for weighed-in decision-making when it comes to matters of property. After all, to buy or not to buy are not the only options with real estate.
Finding a house in Mumbai is difficult, but finding a tenant seems to be even worse. An owner-focused service in the residential real estate space is Azuro, which solves this problem by bringing unused houses to the rental market. Anshuwa Banerjee caught up with the founder to find out about this venture and how it uses technology to manage the life cycle of a property. Take a look.
Trying to find the right house in a city like Mumbai can turn anyone blue. Tales of housing affordability woes are common in India's financial capital. Trying to solve this hunting and gathering problem in the city is real estate startup Azuro. Azuro helps owners rent their property out to the right tenants hassle-free. Starting from tenant verification to home maintenance, Azuro does it all. So when and how did the inspiration hit you to start something like Azuro?
Back in 2015, I was working for Deutsche Bank, and me and one of my co-founders, we were looking around for a house, and those were the days when a lot of these real estate classified startups like housing.com, Common Floor were coming up. And being from a technology background, we tend to favor these kind of websites. But the experience that we got from those websites was still the same that I got 1 or 2 years before when I was searching for a house. So then it hit me that there is something fundamentally wrong with what is happening, and there should be a way to use technology and business model to ensure that the experience is much better. And that is how we set out researching while on the job, and we met a lot of people, and that's how it all started. The initial inspiration came from that experience, the first-hand experience that wasn't that great.
So you've been backed up by K Capital, White Unicorn and Mumbai Angels. So talk to us about your initial funding journey. Was it a bumpy ride?
When we started to deliver some on the metrics and the houses, and we were showing a good traction, we started meeting people from the real estate industry, because see, none of us are from the real estate background. So we wanted investors who have that real estate background, which is where Mumbai Angels and White Unicorn come in, because they are from the real estate background, the angels from Mumbai Angels and White Unicorn, and then the journey starts.
So on that note, I wanted to ask that what is the difference between a broker and Azuro?
Brokering is about information arbitrage, right? A broker will get a house owner, a tenant, and that's the job is done. In fact, our job starts after that. So if you look at an owner who owns 5 houses, right, 2 CR is 10 CR worth of asset, he wouldn't have time to manage everything. And once he has found the tenant, there are many things he needs to do. He needs to do basic furnishing of the house, he needs to collect the rent, he needs to ensure that house is in the right shape if the tenant is leaving. So that's where we come in. We act on his behalf everywhere, so he doesn't have to do anything. We don't charge things upfront, we charge it as the income comes. And in that way, we also become a standard player for the tenant.
So there are quite a few web-based real estate websites in the market. So what makes you different than other players, and how do you plan to stay competitive?
That's a great question, but if you look at classified, it's more of a media industry play. It's a pure online play and it's an advertising play. What we are is a marketplace, right? We get when we deliver. Classified is an advertising platform, we are a delivery platform. We are more of a marketplace. So the difference between a Just Dial and a Flipkart, that would be a difference between a classified platform and Azuro, because Azuro is at the end of the day a delivery platform and classifieds are just advertising platform.
So property rental is a huge market in India, crippled by inefficiencies. So what are the initial challenges you faced when it came to owner and tenant partnership?
We had to do a lot of work initially to convince the people, including doing things like taking a rental risk. So essentially I was paying the rent even though house was empty. We did things like that because we knew that we would be able to deliver, and that was the first trust. And then when we were able to convince those owners that our model works, that is when they started referring other people, and it was that was the first I would say satisfaction that came from it.
So how can startups like yours leverage technology and digital marketing more? Let's talk about the industry as a whole.
If you look at the real estate industry, it's one of the largest asset class in the world, right? And because it's the largest asset class, even when you do things manually, unit economics makes sense, which is why it's one of the industries that hasn't been as receptive to technology as other industries. Look at the transportation industry, Ola, Uber, there are tons of other industries, commerce, that have been disrupted by technology, but real estate being such a high asset class, high value asset class, manually was still working. But I think and that was one of our inspirations, that the technology just isn't there, and technology you can start from as basic as digital advertising, which people are now very receptive to. Even big developers are deploying it very widely.
So what is that one piece of government regulation would you like to see changed in the coming years?
See, RERA, if you look at it, that was a disruption in this industry because it changed the whole landscape. And currently, although it's just in the primary selling department where a developer is selling to a seller, that's where it comes in. But I think it will trickle down to the rental economy, and that will help ensure that the wrong elements that are there in the industry, who are not adding value, just thriving on information arbitrage, will go away, and we'll have professional agents and professional property management firms like Azuro, and they will bring value to the industry and not anything else. And we welcome that regulation, because if you look at even demonetization or RERA, they all have helped us.
So as we come to the end of this conversation, I wanted to know that what is that one piece of advice that has changed your life, and what are the expansion plans going forward?
So when I got into IIT, one of my mentors told me that you did a great job getting to IIT, but ensures that once you get out, or before you get out, this is not the biggest thing you have done in life. And that, I think, stays with me every day, and I try to make sure that every day I grow more than the last day.
Having served a number of clients, Azuro has created a niche for itself in the real estate market. Innovation, along with the target of meeting the housing needs of the common man, Azuro is well on its way to redefine the property hunting experience in Mumbai.
Completely out of time then on this episode of The Leaders of Tomorrow. We love hearing from you, and if you are an MSME that wants to be featured here on the show, do remember you can always write in to us. Do take down this email ID. It's leadersoftomorrow@timesgroup.com. If you want to reach us on social media, you can tag us on LOT on Twitter, or tweet at me personally at Sunanda_J. You can reach us in fact also on Facebook, on our Facebook page, Leaders of Tomorrow on ET Now, or call us on that number you see on your screen. We promise to have all your questions answered. Thanks for watching. Have a good night.